What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to look at the MRD Z Pro Shorty exhaust pipe and the Yoshimura RS-2 exhaust pipe. Now these two exhaust pipes are probably two of the most popular exhaust pipes for the DRZ400. I currently have the MRD Z Pro Shorty on my DRZ400. And one of the things that I want to do in looking at these two exhaust pipes is understand exactly how loud they are. So I have a audio meter, and my plan is to test both exhaust pipes similar to how the police or anybody else would examine the audio level coming from an exhaust system. And what I believe that means, and I've looked at some of the regulations, and from those, I believe it has to be a meter placed at exhaust level at a 45-degree angle from the exhaust pipe, 20 inches away from the exhaust pipe. And one of the recommendations is also to be basically away from buildings and other structures that may reflect some of the audio. So I've decided to come out here. This is Holloway Park in Lakeland, Florida. Just going to be away from everything. Okay, so I think we're all set up here. So what I ended up doing was kind of eyeballing where the exhaust pipe would land on the ground if I had like a plumb bob here. So it seems like it'd be right under the tire, and I have a tape measure over there. I just measured out straight back and straight over. So if we imagine this scenario as an isosceles triangle, it would just be a triangle with a 90-degree angle, like straight out, 90 degrees. So you'd have 45-degree angles on each side. So if we use a little bit of trig, it would just end up being what sine of 45 degrees equals x over 20. Yeah, so sine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. We set that equal to x over 20. Multiply out the 20, we end up with 10 square root of 2. So 14.14 inches this way, 14.14 inches that way. We can see we're measuring in dBA. This thing takes an audio sample every half second. And then in addition to that, it has a maximum setting where it just holds the max value that's read. And then it also has a min setting where it holds the minimum value that's read. And I don't think that's very useful for us right now, but so I'll be using the basic sampling and also the max setting here for the measurements that we're going to take. So right now you can see my idle is at 1,400-ish, and from here we have an 83 decibels. .1, 84 max, okay. So 84 max. So the other thing that the police or another organization would do whenever they're testing the exhaust volume is also rev the machine up to halfway between idle and the red line, and the red line on one of these DRZ400s is around 10K. So I'm going to try to get as close as I can to 5,000 just by turning the idle up here. Alright, that's as far as she'll go. So about 4270. We're getting 96 decibels. There's the max. Turn it back down. And shut it off. Okay. The only other thing that I would like to do for you is just give it some revs and see how loud this thing will go. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, I'll set this to max Still rocking around that 83 mark, 84 mark. And we'll just give it some blips here. We were able to hit 118.3 max. Now, I would like to mention that this is with the quiet insert and the spark arrestor installed. So we're going to pop that out and remeasure. I tried to film this in the field, but it didn't really go so well. So I'll show you here in the garage how this works. There's just these 3 screws. So once you get those 3 screws removed, the end of the exhaust here just slides right out. This is actually pretty heavy. It's solid aluminum. I removed the insert, the quiet insert, and the spark arrestor. There they are. Come on. All right, there we go. You could probably put a little anti-seize on that if you wanted to. The quiet insert drops in like this with the spark arrestor inserted. And that washer is actually what gives us a little more width so that those screws that hold it down have a little bit more to bite and actually clamp it with. So yesterday I forgot to actually install this washer. It is so covered in filth I just didn't even notice it. So to remove this baffle, just slide it out, and then this guy comes off. It's a tight fit. Oh. All right, so I forgot to put that on that little the insert. So this guy slides into the exhaust tip, and then you're going to want to put this O-ring or washer, whatever you want to call it. You're going to want to slide that on there too, and then you'll put your screws back in. I forgot to put that on yesterday, but that is how this works. I've got the straight through unmitigated MRD Pro Shorty exhaust pipe, no baffles. So let's go ahead and turn it on, see what we get at idle. Ooh. Alright, so that's idle is a little bit higher, but not much. We'll see what the max reads. Max is going to be 94.3 at idle. So now we'll go ahead and crank up that idle screw and go till it stops. That's it. Oh, that's min. There it is at rest, and then we'll hit the max button. Looks like we're right around 101. Bring that back down to earth. Alright, so let's give it a few blips here. We'll put it on max. The max setting here we'll save for max. Looking at 94 again there. We'll give it a couple of blips like we did last time. Try to hit 7,000. There we go. Let's see what we got. Looks 120.8 is going to be the max there. Okay guys, I'm going to pack my stuff up and head on home. And then we're going to swap that exhaust pipe out once it cools down and get some measurements on the Yoshimura RS-2. Man, I'll tell you what, I forgot just how rowdy this thing sounds. with the baffles removed. I haven't rode it like this for so long, and I'll tell you what, it puts a smile on your face. The exhaust pipe is a lot of fun. If you can take the volume, I mean, the sound matches the build quality and the build style. I am in a turn-only lane. Oh, maybe not. Maybe straight only. Shit. I think I'm out of fuel. I think I just need to stick it on reserve. Wow. All right. I did not know I was that low on fuel. I got this big ass tank and I still ran out of gas. Well, that was embarrassing. I should get some fuel. I haven't checked the fuel mileage since doing the 3x3 mod and everything. And it looks like I went 181 miles on 3.917 gallons. So I got 46.39 miles a gallon.
So it's a new day. I just decided to leave that exhaust pipe to cool down overnight. So I'm just gonna swap this pipe out for the Yoshimura. I realize now that fan was making a mess of my audio. I've been experimenting here, so I figured I'd bring you along. I think it's important to know how heavy these are as part of the comparison. All right, so we're gonna remove the bucket from the equation, so we're gonna zero it. We'll start with our MRD exhaust pipe here. Looks like, I don't know if it's visible, we're in the shadow here, but it says 6.77 pounds for our MRD Z Pro Shorty. And that is without the baffles, but I do not believe this is gonna add any significance. 7.126. 7.1 or 6.7 pounds, depending on your configuration. Throw the Yoshimura in the bucket. All right, guys, there we have it. 9.206 pounds. That is with, I believe this Yoshimura does have, yeah, it's got an insert. So there's our Yoshimura. And I mean, it's immediately apparent why this one's so much lighter. It's just physically smaller. The Yoshimura it's in 3 pieces. It's got the header, a mid pipe, and the muffler. Whereas the MRD exhaust pipe is the muffler. Of course, it's already welded to a bit of pipe here, which would be the mid pipe of the Yoshimura. And then the header, the Yoshimura does not produce the horsepower numbers. The MRD does whenever you build the bike out to a higher horsepower bike. In stock configuration, you don't need the flow of the MRD to maximize your horsepower. If you're putting cams in, big boards and things like that, you're going to want an exhaust pipe like the MRD that maximizes your flow. But if you have a stock bike, your decision is going to come down to aesthetics, weight, volume, and if you just prefer one sound over the other. I guess price would add in there as well, because the Yoshimura is definitely more expensive than the MRD. The problem, one of the biggest issue I have with the MRD is they didn't do much with this joint here. And I did crash my bike pretty hard. If you saw my last video, the pipe is bent. I think I discussed that, but it messed up this joint. You can see it's a little bit oblong now. And I actually had to, okay, so it's just the muffler side that's oblong. This one turned out pretty well. But even before I crashed, this joint leaked exhaust. So you can see on the exhaust pipe, it was blowing out through here and, you know, turning this black. So that joint just isn't sealed well. It's not really an issue. But I would assume that a baffle probably just puts too much pressure, back pressure on the exhaust, and you probably notice that that leak more than you would with it just left open. Here's the top of the starter, and you can see it's just filthy with the exhaust soot where that joint was leaking, and you can see how much that's just been blasting everything with exhaust. Yeah, it leaks pretty good. But again, I had the baffles in there, so this issue may not manifest itself in this way if you just leave it open. We'll see how it goes at the header. That joint is made just like this one. So we'll see how that goes. It may end up being the same as this, but this was my only gripe. This was my only gripe. I love this exhaust pipe. There's one other thing I want to show you guys. I'm going to put a new exhaust gasket on. And if you need one, here is the number. I'll get it on there and we'll see how it looks once I get it on. Again, I'm not going to cover the install. It's been covered 100 times already.
I will say the install process is a little bit more complicated than the MRD, but that is only because there's a few extra parts. The spacers and everything that go in here, the MRD fits on to the stock equipment. You don't have to, you got to remove this rubber part and everything, the vibration isolator, to install this RS-2. You do not remove it to install the MRD. There are also these springs back here. None of this is a big deal, okay? So neither of these exhaust pipes are difficult to install at all. So these are very, very small details here. I'm nitpicking. Sorry, I'm kind of breathing hard. It's so hot out here. And in the instructions they say to remove your fingerprints and everything from the exhaust pipe in order to prevent those fingerprints from being burnt into the stainless steel, essentially. But they say to remove that using alcohol. And you can see I've kind of smeared the black on the sticker, and the letters are kind of funny looking. They're like kind of white but kind of metallic-y. The sticker has been degraded. Well, I found that I only had 91% alcohol at my house here, and it took this black off. Luckily, it's only on the inside sticker, so you might be careful about that. You might use something a little less harsh on the stickers themselves. I have already removed the quiet insert. You know, we're going to measure it with and without the quiet insert, but I realized that whenever I measured the weight, this was inside the Yoshimura, and some of you might not run it. So let's go ahead and see what this weighs so we can subtract that from the total. So that is a mere 0.306 pounds. It's installed with one screw. You might have seen already. Right there is where it goes in. You just slide this thing in and put the screw in. The MRD equipment here. But those are your differences. RS-2, MRD. I'm going to quit panting here and get on the road and cool off. My goodness. Oh, it feels so good to get on the road. Well, we've once again arrived at Holloway Park here in Lakeland, Florida. Oh, look at that. That is nasty. I didn't show this last time, but I did measure to make sure the sensor was 20 inches away from that muffler. I didn't show that, but I assure you that was the case. So I've got it set up as close as possible to how it was set up whenever I ran the test on the MRD. And like I said in the beginning, I did measure this distance whenever I came out here and demonstrated that MRD. And I did have 20 inches between the sensor and the exhaust pipe. I didn't show measuring that, but I assure you I did it. I just wanted you to be aware of that. So I don't know how to get this any closer. I did my best. I think it's identical. All right, let's go ahead and get it fired up. Now, like I said, this is without the insert. You can see we're straight through. We're right about 1400 RPMs like we were whenever we demonstrated the MRD. And just like whenever we ran the MRD, I'm just going to take a look at this readout. This is at idle, and we're looking right around 83, between 83 and 84 or so. The low 83s maybe. And then I'll go ahead and set this on maximum hold. So we'll see what that max ends up being. Give it a couple seconds here. So it looks like right around 84.3. We'll go ahead and crank this idle screw all the way. It should end up being about 4,300 RPMs, just like last time. All right, she's all the way. 4380. So at about 4,300 RPMs, we're looking at 96.9, somewhere in there. So we'll go ahead and stick it on maximum hold here. .97 or so, 97.1. Let's go ahead and bring it back down to earth. So that's what we ended up with, 97.1. Now that's the loudest configuration. Let's go ahead and shove that insert in and give that a rip and see what we come up with. Just wanted to show you putting this in here since I didn't show taking it out. But it literally just slides in. And it's both a little bit trickier than the MRD setup and a little bit nicer at the same time. It's weird to explain. There we go. I'm just saying this is simpler, yet surprisingly a little bit more finicky. Insert is in. I haven't touched the setup. Pretty interested in the results here. So what, mid 76s, 77. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set it on maximum hold. Give it a few seconds here. Man, we're gonna dodge that rain. All of it. That looks like 77.1. Let's crank it up. Alrighty, 4,300 or so. And here we're sampling every half a second, and it looks like we're rocking right around 87, 87 and a half. All right, let's throw it on maximum hold. Give it a few seconds. Wow, it caught a 94. Let's try that again. Yeah, that must have been just some anomalous noise or something. All right, we're gonna go with 87.9, 88 maybe, 88.2. Alrighty, there we are. I'm gonna bring it back down. Alrighty. There we go. Hit 90 again. Okay, so let's just go ahead and say the low 90s. 88, 90, somewhere in there. It's a good looking exhaust pipe, I will say that. I also love the way the MRD looks as well, though. They're just different pipes for different purposes, man. I just realized I forgot to do that little rev test that I did on the MRD. Now that the exhaust pipe is hot, I'm going to demonstrate how difficult this thing is to get out of here. The builds might be different between pipes here. Yours might be a little bit better off than mine. Mine might be a little bit... You know how manufacturing is. But mine is a pain. to remove. Maybe it's a technique thing. There we go. All right. My goodness. Oof. Starting to get hot through my gloves even. All right. Rev test. I'll start it before we turn the instrument onto max hold. Okay. Open exhaust pipe. This is as loud as she gets. We're on max hold. We're going to give her a few rips here. We hit 118.6. That's actually louder than I thought it would be. That's what, just a couple dB off from the max output of the MRD. That's actually, I'm surprised by that. Let's stick that insert back in. Quiet insert is reinstalled. We're going to turn our instrument on here and we're going to start the bike. So this is the quietest configuration. Now that the bike started, we're going to set maximum hold here. Yeah, maximum hold. We're going to give it a few rips. Alright, now we're down to 115.3. Alrighty, now we'll get back on the road. I'm currently riding back home with the quiet insert installed in the exhaust pipe. I will say, I do enjoy the peace and quiet offered by this pipe. It's definitely quieter with that insert in. And you know, with it quieter, now you can hear all of the concerning noises that come from your DRZ engine. They're not drowned out by that loud MRD anymore.
This is a graphic that I created that pulls together all of the information that we collected for each exhaust system in all configurations. So if we take a look at the leftmost column here, this is the configuration of the exhaust system. So either baffled or open, at idle, or 4,300 RPMs, or when revving the bike up. These two columns contain information collected for the Z Pro Shorty, while these two columns contain information collected for the Yoshimura RS-2. Now I've separated this into average and maximum values, and I'll have to explain the averages here. This is admittedly subjective data that I took from the footage. So I took a look at the tool while it was taking its every half-second measurement of the exhaust level, and from that I derived an average value. You can go back, take a look, see if you agree or disagree with these. I think they're pretty close, and this may or may not be useful, but I did want to put it out here. The maximum here is objective data taken from that tool as it was placed in its maximum hold setting. So this is probably a bit more reliable. The bottom two rows contain information about the weight. That was taken from the scale in my garage, and that is with and without baffles for each system. And honestly, the whole goal of this video is to put real-world data to these systems in an effort to help individuals make well-informed decisions on how to spend their hard-earned money. You deserve to buy the exhaust system that most appropriately fits your needs, and let's be honest, these things are expensive, so the more information you have about them, the better off you are. Honestly, the more I look at this graphic, the more interesting it gets. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to have discussions, please leave them in the comments section below. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a great day. Appreciate you stopping in. I'll catch you later.